Hello, hello. Q4 is together with Q1, as someone who doesn't live in a sunny country, by far one of the biggest challenges. I think to stay motivated, to stay active, to stay healthy, and also focused on work. I have identified that every year during the month of November, my motivation just dips, my energy dips. I need more sleep. I can't really do without the sunshine. And it just has an impact on my business. So the past couple of years, I started identifying that pattern and I started making some decisions to prepare for that. Just like in business, you start knowing which seasons are good for selling which products. I believe as entrepreneurs, it's really important that we start learning about how we need to manage ourselves, because when we don't manage ourselves, it's really difficult to actually manage our business, our clients, and our team. And I was just talking about it today to my personal trainer, and we were talking about how people really have no clue when you're the boss, for example, like I am, how much capacity you actually need for that, to lead a team, to lead clients, and to also lead yourself. Because when you lose focus, that's just not just one person losing focus, that's a whole group of people losing focus, because obviously I am guiding my team's focus as well. So in today's episode, after my month of walkazodes, I thought I'd walk you through some of my current health habits. I've noticed when I look at the podcast stats that anything on health, habits, focus, just, those topics do really, really well. And sometimes I'll go through those stats and I'll be like, well, but I've already talked about that. But if you're anything like me, focusing on your health, staying happy as a CEO is not something you work on once or you listen to podcasts about once. It's an ongoing process. So I definitely don't have all of the answers, but in today's episode, I do want to walk you through how I'm walking into Q4, pun intended, because I'm actually walking outside as you're listening to this. So if you've heard it in the past couple of episodes, you know the drill. But by now, if the audio is a little bit less amazing than usual, just pretend we're on the phone. You're on the phone talking to a friend, because I'm literally walking outside in the street. I did not get a lot of movement in today, so I am walking while recording these episodes. I haven't let my team know this is how I'm recording the episodes, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna die when they hear it, but whatever. It fits the brand, right? Perfectly imperfect. And also health, because that is definitely something I have been talking about a lot in the past couple of years. Staying healthy is something we have to do. I mean, I believe that you can start a business and hit your first million or something without necessarily staying healthy. But if you want to keep your business and stay happy and actually not, for me, for example, I gain a lot of stress weight. So I always say you can roll me. When I'm super stressed, my body also just holds on to everything. So I definitely would not have survived my business for almost 10 years if I didn't also actively prioritize my health. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, the show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. So, Q4, what are we focusing on? Q4, Q1. I'm just gonna tell you a couple of things. I literally have nothing outlined. I'm just walking here thinking about what would people like to listen to, and I always get a ton of questions about focus and health and stuff. So I guess if I'm being honest, what has really been difficult for me to manage in the past couple of months has been the fact that since the beginning of September, I feel like so many of my clients have gone through panic periods. And, the economy is changing, AI is changing a lot. A lot of people have been really emotional. So I found myself for the first time in years, through the period of September, for example, having a lot of active one-on-one clients as well, on top of all of my group program clients. And that there were just a lot of emotions to manage and a lot of panic and a lot of launches. So what that did for me is it really kind of triggered me and also forced me to hold up a mirror in how can I lead them even better. And the only way to lead even better for me is to lead by example. And I noticed that their chaos was starting to pull me in. So what I did is, if something triggers me, that's on me. And then that also means I am here to do something with that. So what I started doing is I became much more intentional again about my calendar. I stopped replying to messages all day long. I put very clear blocks in for myself when I would reply to messages. I stopped doing a lot of last minute calls with people when they asked for it, or a lot of last minute adjustments with my team, with my clients. And I just gave them all my calendar, which has worked really well. Even for just like very practical stuff. I was just in LA for 3 weeks and the time zone was a mess. But I also had to run my business, and sometimes you do have meetings. For example, I was going through a tax audit, and my accountant was, asking to meet, and it was really difficult to find a time slot. And at a certain point, I was like, you know what, fuck off. Like, I don't have time for this. Here's my calendar, the one I use for client meetings that take 45 minutes, but I just gave him that link as well. I have a separate link that does 20-minute meetings, and I just gave him that link. In my other business, my VA was asking to sit down for a couple of things. I just gave her that link too. So I have maybe opened up more space in my calendar for those meetings, but really batched them really, really well. And that brings me to my own calendar. Normally I have meeting-free Mondays and meeting-free Wednesdays and meeting-free Friday afternoons. So I batch a lot on those other days. And I mean, when I say meeting-free, obviously I'm still doing stuff for clients. I'm working on things. Sometimes I'll pick up the phone and call one of my team members with a question. But I started noticing that lately I had been making a lot of exceptions. Client in a panic, oh, I'll do that with you on a Monday. Someone else in a different time zone, oh, I'll do that with you on a Wednesday morning. Last minute, urgent things from other people. And that kind of resulted in me not having a lot of white space. So I went back to my ideal week, which I always do. I recommend you look at this maybe like every 3 months. And my LA trip helped a lot because as I was in a different time zone, that was like a very unique opportunity for me to look at what does that feel like, doing the meetings really early and then having the rest of the day for my own focus, just fully to myself. And I really loved that. So I went back and drew a line. I also informed my team of some things we were changing because I just feel like so many of us, we work in a really extroverted way, but we are all more introverted and we need that time by ourselves to recharge, to have white space. And when you have no white space and you're always working according to other people's calendars, why did you even become your own boss? Because you're not actually behaving like it. So I took that back. And I think today is a really nice example of how that worked out for me because I had something happen last night. Just some personal, emotional stuff. And so I went to bed really late. But I know that this week it's really important that I get my sleep in. It's like my main priority. So I woke up later and I had no meetings. I had no one to answer to. I just woke up later. So at least I could stick to that commitment of sleep. So I think first thing I'm doing, if I recap all of that, is I took control of my calendar back and I started getting a bit more clear with my boundaries. And I think many of us are afraid to do that because our team needs us. It's our business. Or, my clients paid me a lot of money. But what I always like to remind myself is someone else's sense of urgency or lack of planning is inherently not my problem. So I try to do the best I can for my clients. I'm very empathetic and all of that, but it also shouldn't cost me, or at least you need to find compromise somewhere. So that's definitely a practice from this people pleaser. And then secondly, my sleep is holy. You should have seen me the past couple of days. But as I realized that I'm in this period where I have basically 3 different events with clients, all in a span of 1 month. I know who did that planning. I don't know. Was it me? Maybe it was. Maybe I was delusional when I made that plan. In between trips, we kind of had to put the events somewhere. And then we had, the school vacations. All the moms get mad when we do it then. Exams, we can't do it then. Black Friday. Oh, so basically we did decide to kind of just like do the best we could. But there's just a lot of factors to take into account. So we have a lot of events, right? By the time you'll listen to this, actually, most of those events will have wrapped up. And so I knew on top of the events, there's not a lot I will be able to manage. So how will I manage myself? So I sat down with my health coach and we really mapped out all of the months, all of the weeks, and we looked at everything that was like a red zone that I was walking into. Full days with clients, travel, time zones, jet lag, all of that. And we started mapping out my non-negotiables into that. Non-negotiable, 3 workouts a week. Okay, map that into that. Looked at hotels with gyms. Travel days, okay. put massages in there. Really busy days. Okay, can you do walking meetings or can you get your steps in because that's going to be good for your nervous system? Booking a hotel. Okay, can I get a bathtub so I can take a bath? And then, so we did all of that. I think that's kind of ties into point one of the calendar. But then the second thing I did is just like when I looked at that, it was so clear to me how busy my life was going to get. So I was like, well, there's not going to be anything else to do than just really prioritize my rest. Rest when I can, work hard when I need to or whatever. So I really believe in the whole, they say work hard, play hard. I say work hard, rest hard. Play is also necessary, but you get what I mean, right? So I went back and looked at my sleep hygiene. I noticed I was taking my phone into the bedroom because I needed an app to meditate. Stopped doing that because I don't want the phone in the bedroom. Something I've never done like in the past 7 years or so. I never ever take my phone into the bedroom, but because of that meditation app, I needed it. So stopped doing that. I saw also in the other time zone that I started spending more time on socials because of the time zone difference, getting content out on time, because I was in a little bit of a launch. Usually all of my content is planned out, but because of the launch and the time zone, I did have to post a couple of things, which had led me to turning off my Opal app that actually blocks my Instagram and other apps. And it was not good for just like general stress levels. So I went back and turned that on. And, it's always just better for your sleep to really make your nighttime ritual into like the only goal for you at night is to get good sleep. I read that in Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning book. And I really like that your only goal at night is not to get more work done or, other stuff, but like after 9 p.m., the goal is to get in a good sleep state. So remember that when you're working late or whatever, which I try to avoid beginning with the time zone. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? And then I'm going to be honest, I went far. So I had lost my sleeping mask. I got a new one, like a silk one that really, really darkens the entire room. Earplugs I was already using. I now added mouth tape and nose tape. And I also have my Pulsetto, which is a new gadget I'm using for my vagal nerve stimulation. I'm not going to lie, I use an Aura ring to track my health stats and to really focus on my breathing and my wellness and all of that, walking. And after the first night I used that, I woke up and I was like, holy shit, this was amazing. This was right after I came back from LA. Immediately my sleep score was 94. I also really felt it. So I was already doing sporadically the sleeping mask, but then, sometimes I would skip it. Then I lost it. Okay, I'm really sensitive to light because I'm just extremely highly sensitive. The earplugs I would do consistently, but again, light, other sounds, shit's always happening. So I was like, I'm going to take this really, really seriously because if I don't have a lot of time to rest, let's make sure that the time I am resting is really great. So at home, I have my grounding sheets. I now have the Pulsetto tool, which is basically a vagal nerve stimulator, which gets your body out of a fight or flight. Sorry. In the beginning, I was like, do I want that? Because I also don't want it. I don't want to be that typical hustling entrepreneur who's always just like adding gadgets on top of the symptoms. But, I do a lot to relax. I do a lot of work on myself. I've gotten into a far less stressed state recently, but I also realized, excuse me. I also realized, that when your body is just always wired and used to it, you also have to teach it to relax it again. So when I looked up some of the Pulsetto stats, it has scientific research that after 2 weeks of consistent use, it works. And I can tell you, it works. And also it just kind of reteaches your nervous system to go into a calm state. So I love that for me. And then the mouth tape, someone in LA told me that. She's like, you don't use my mouth tape? And I was like, no, I actually don't know why. I've seen biohackers and fitness people use that, but I don't know. I just haven't. So I ordered it. I also ordered nose strips. Nose strips, I never really got why people wore that either. I mean, I was like, yeah, you can breathe easier, but I breathe pretty okay. I thought so. But now I've slept with all of those things a couple of nights. I feel like I'm in a little desensitized prison at night. I fucking love it. It's like no sound, no light. Nothing. For a highly sensitive person, it is a dream. So my sleep scores have come back amazingly. I wake up and I actually don't even want to snooze because I slept so deeply and soundly, and I can just highly, highly, highly recommend it. So that's my health focus right now. And then I think the third part is movement. So what I've learned is a couple of months ago, I got really into creating custom GPTs, and I've been using custom GPTs to also guide me on my health journey. So what I did is I uploaded a lot of my health stats, for example, my measurements, some of my other stats, and I've basically turned it into a custom cortisol coach. So for example, after one of my events a couple of months ago, I felt like I really crashed, and I asked it, hey, why is that? I was, oh, because your cortisol crashed. It's like, okay, how can I prevent that? And it told me, well, you need to kind of stock up on rest before an event. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And there's just a bunch of small things I've realized. For example, I'll often not be hungry when I have an event with clients because I'm just so focused on the people. But apparently, because I don't get a lot of protein and carbs in during an event, although I'm not hungry, that actually does increase the crash afterwards. What I also did is, for example, I would plan in a massage the day after an event. But I learned because of that GPT that I also had to plan in all of that stuff beforehand. So I think if I can kind of look at what I've been doing differently lately is I've just been anticipating more and pre-resting, planning better, prepping myself better, looking ahead. Oh, it's going to be really busy. Whereas I used to just be really naive and be like, oh, I'll figure it out. And then, start crying at a certain point. So I've just been taking my self-care a lot more seriously. And that doesn't mean taking baths. I have been doing that as well, or just getting the massages, but also, not letting other people drain your energy. As I'm recording this episode for you, I have a really big week coming up, and that's something I choose, right? I am this ambitious person. I want to accomplish things. I want to make an impact in the world. And that means, I have the retreats, I have the events. That is a choice. And that also means this week is resting up for that. But I had something happen, and it really threw me off, and it made me really sad. And I spent last night crying a lot, and that was really hard for me. And also I made the decision today that I'm like, I can't have this week, and I'm not gonna allow more of that. And if it's about people or whatever, sometimes we also just kind of have to tell our environment, like, I don't want to deal with that this week, or you have to support me in this, or whatever. I'm not going to go into what happened, but it's mostly just also a decision for myself to not get pulled into other people's drama. That could be business-wise, that could be personally, but just, deciding to choose for you is one of the most powerful things you can do. And deciding to choose for me means planning in the workouts in the middle of the day or when I'm at the retreat. And it also means letting other people do their thing, kind of like the let them theory by Mel Robbins, and just take myself as seriously as I take my work is basically, I think, a little bit of what I'm saying. And I think that's been really good for my confidence. And if other people can deal with that, that's fine. So yeah. Let's see. Usually when I make an episode like this, I'll have some sort of thing to gift you. I have something to gift you. It's been one of my most popular things. I do this so often, but it's my ideal week template. I know not everyone likes to work in the same rhythm, but you can still use it to look at your building blocks. But I highly, highly, highly urge you to look at this template. Like, honestly, people pay me between 40 to 50,000 euros to work with me for a year. And in session 1 or 2, I will always have them do this. It is just, designing your ideal week to work the way you are wired instead of the way you think you need to work. So go and download that, sit down, print it out, and map out your ideal week. And remember why you became the boss. Not to live on someone else's terms, but to work your way and to design your business around your life, not the other way around. I'll gift it to you if you just go to my Instagram account, FastForwardAmy, message me ideal week, or go to the description of this episode. I'll link it there too. Just message me ideal week, all one word, on FastForwardAmy, and I'll send it over. But please promise me you'll actually do the exercise. And this is really cool. I've turned it into a prompt as well. So at the end of the guide, you'll find a ChatGPT prompt that you can fill out. And then the ChatGPT prompt will help you map out your ideal week so that you can feel your energy rise. Maybe you get better boundaries with clients and everything is just going to be better. Okay. Enjoy. And, should I keep doing the walkie-talkies? Is it really annoying or is it like okay-ish? I quite like it. I feel like I need to get in better shape because you can hear me breathing maybe. But I quite like doing this for the time being, as long as I'm not doing sit-down episodes with other people. But I don't know if it's horrendous or not. I'm guessing if it's horrendous, you didn't listen until here, right? Let me know how you like them. And I hope that maybe they inspire you to also go for a walk. So if you're listening to more podcast episodes after this, I would say go for a walk, because remember, you are not just here to build a business. Your business is here to serve you. Make it fit you, not the other way around. Bye. Talk to you next week. How many times have you promised yourself next year will be the year you finally become profitable? You finally stop trading your time for money. And how many times did you end up saying yes to another one-on-one client? So many entrepreneurs make that promise. Next year will be better. But in reality, they don't actually do or plan anything differently. They keep making the same mistakes with their cash flow. They keep spending before they've made it. They don't raise their prices, and they still have no buffer because they continue to say yes to certain clients, leading them to not have any time to work on their business. But the thing is, it's not you, and it's not a lack of motivation. It's simply a lack of the right tools and planning. Because when we take action instead of waiting, when we actually plan out our year and learn how our cash flow can work for us, we get to build a buffer, we get to raise the prices, and most importantly, we get to figure out who we want to work with and how to finally scale away from our time. But we can't all do it alone, and sometimes we simply need to zoom out. So if you are here and you're listening, you're thinking, oh my god, I really do want to make 2026 my year, then let's decide to start planning together. Because on Tuesday, November 25th, I am organizing the Imperfect event, a full day of working on your business with talks about opportunity cost, cash flow, sales, planning, and we are going to make sure together that 2026 is going to be the year you break through that self-imposed ceiling. Because you don't make your year great in January. You start making your next year great by starting to plan for it right now, okay? We have a couple of tickets left at €100 off. Make sure you go and grab yours really quickly. Just click on the link in the description or go to FastForwardAmy.com/ticket25. See you there.